Well, hello, General Hospital Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Wednesday, May the 14th, 2024. Five. Goodness, I wrote 24 on my notes, and it's definitely 2025. Remember what I said? Lulu had the boys doing housework, right? And I said, now a man would have been having the boys working outside. Lulu live in a brush, in a forest, wherever she living, right? Well, guess what they mentioned today? Christina came by to see Dante at Lulu's house. Go figure that, y'all. Why? Rocco or Danny, neither one of them were there. Neither was Lulu. But she knew to go check out her brother there. Okay. So anyway, as she came up, she mentioned the landscaping. She says, boy, you must have paid a fortune. And she mentioned what it was. It wasn't the trailer, whatever she said, the type of landscaping that was done. Maybe it's the bushes, who knows? You must have paid a fortune to have that done. It's looking good, right? So he goes, actually, Rocco and Danny did that. I had them do it, you know, as punishment for them going to the PCU party and Danny drinking. I mean, and Rocco drinking. She goes, well, it looks good. And I said, see, there you had it. Have it. They had to do okay. So Dante got a clue. Them boys been working. Look, they probably got calluses on their little fingers. Poor things. So anyway, let's talk. Oh, before I begin, this Saturday, May 17th at 5 p.m. Pacific time, which is 7 p.m. Central time, which is 8 p.m. Eastern time. We will be live streaming on Zoom, not Zoom, on YouTube. Comic Corner comes to life. And I look so forward to it. So make sure you mark your calendars. If you are not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please subscribe now before you finish watching my daily recap. If you are not subscribed, push pause on your screen. It's a little icon that says subscribe. Click it so you can subscribe. And then while you're subscribing, click the notification bell so you can get notified every time I do a video and the live stream. So with that being said, let's dive into GHA. This has been the most slowest to me, sweet. But anyway, Boyo, whatever his last name is, decides he's gonna be rude and just talk crap up to Laura. She's still having lunch with Lulu or breakfast. Lucky was there. They finished. Lulu and Laura still just chit chatting. But the three of them had breakfast together. It was kind of cute. And then they were asking about Elizabeth. So you guys back together again? He goes, I'm looking after Elizabeth. And they go, mm-hmm. Because Laura was saying how lonely her house is now that Lulu has moved out, and um, that the two of them and Lucky's moved out. What about Charlotte? Right? What about Charlotte? Charlotte who? So anyway, he comes up, just be trying to, belittle her in front of everybody in the restaurant. And she says, listen, I am having breakfast with my daughter. If you need to speak to me, like I've told you many times before, you call my office and you make an appointment with my secretary. No, no. I mean, I'm gonna, talk to you right now. Of course, I wouldn't be surprised if Sonny Corinthos is. Oh, he just was being obnoxious as usual. And he goes, you might as well do yourself a favor and drop out now. Because, Drew's going to try to have him installed as mayor, even though this is not a mayor, what, mayoral a race for the mayor. It's not up. Port Charles isn't voting for mayor this year, but they're trying to get her removed, Drew, right? So she goes, I will do no such thing. And so now she stands up. And now he's just saying some kind of crap to her. And Lulu said, don't you talk about my mother that way. And she goes, you know what? As a matter of fact, Mom, I think I have my next expose. Hmm. And he goes, but who would believe it? You know, nobody would believe what you would write. The daughter of the mayor, right? And so she goes, and by the way, as it is, you can't even keep your family, talking to Laura, your family in check. Your grandson is out underage drinking. And he's saying it like, and Laura looked at him. She says, you leave my grandson out of this. He goes, no, no, everybody need to know. And he's yelling, raising his voice as he keeps straightening his tie. So Laura takes the water off the table and throws it in his face. And that's what he's doing in the picture, like, what? And Lulu starts chuckling. And Laura looks at what she's done and looks at Doyle's expression. And she starts laughing herself too, like, yeah, idiot, right? And he's just, she goes, hey, is she laughing? Lulu laughing? Okay. Probably other folks in the restaurant laughing. But that was just Doyle/Doyle being Boyle. Now we have Diane tells Carly, okay, we got a mess. Now remember, Jason was there. So now Diane comes in, she's talking to the both of them. She goes, she's filling Jason in. She said, Carly wanted me to proceed with Michael's divorce and to get it on the dockets because it could take several months. And Carly says, yeah, by the time it rolls around, Michael will be home and it'll be ready. He can fight for his kids. And we won't have to wait months for the court case. And Jason said, uh, did Michael say that's what he wanted? Carly says, no, Michael didn't say that's what he wanted. But it makes sense. So Diane says, well, guess what? The judge that's going to hear it had a vacancy on his docket. And here's the problem. The case is coming up in 2 weeks. And Jason says, wait, what? And Carly said, 2 weeks? That's too soon. And Diane says, yes, because Michael won't be ready to fight for custody of his kids, and he's not even in the country. So Carly says, Jason goes, see, that's why Michael should have had a say in when you proceeded with this. This should have been Michael's decision. Carly says, I don't want to hear I told you so now. And Jason's like, hey, don't shoot the messenger. So Diane says, we could ask for a postponement, stating medical reasons. He's out of the country, getting better. She goes, Carly says, but won't that hurt the case? And she goes, yeah, it could. Because bottom line, then why did we push for it? if we just go postpone it. And this gives Willow's side an opportunity to argue this is why Willow needs full custody of her children. So Carly's like, oh, and Jason's looking at her like, see, Carly, this is all you're doing. So Diane says, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to call Michael and ask him, does he want me to postpone or how would he like me to proceed? And Jason's kind of like, okay. And Carly says, no, Michael isn't to know anything about this. And Jason says, why not? It's his life. It's his kids. Because I don't want nothing hindering Michael's progress at all. So Carly says, I'll fight for Michael. Diane looks at her. She goes, I want to fight to get those kids out of Drew's house. So, because it's a danger. And Diane says, well, okay, we can use the video with, what Drew's ketamine fueled bar scene and, activities as to he's an unstable person for Willow and her kids to be around. Now, see, you want to know what else is so interesting, y'all? Drew didn't even want his own child there. He allowed Alexis to take Scout. But Willow is allowing her children to be there. This is telling you she does not think straight whatsoever. And so Diane says, oh, I could definitely use that. We could go on that angle, you know. And I'm thinking, yeah, but wait, Drew was drugged. And if that's what you builded the case on, when he finally does reveal he was drugged, you all won't have a leg to stand on. And so one thing Diane told Carly, she says, okay, Carly, we might succeed in a judge saying that that's not the environment that Michael's children should be in. There's no guarantee you're going to get Michael's kids. She said they may give them to their other grandmother, Nina. And Carly looked and she said, I can live with that. And Jason kind of looked at her. She goes, as long as those kids get out of that house, I could live with that. If the judge doesn't award them to me, I could live with Nina having them. So Diane says, well, okay, then, we'll just proceed. So meanwhile, Nina came over to Willow's and she goes, Willow, can I come in? And Willow said, that depends. Are you going to accept the fact that I'm with Drew? And are you going to get behind Drew, acknowledge and get behind Drew? Because if you're not, then no. Because I don't want anyone around me that does not accept my relationship with Drew. And I thought, whoa, ho, ho, right? Okay, talk about it doesn't matter what I've done, what he's done. We together and you better like it. And smile in his face when he gets here. Pretty much, right? So Nina says, I've thought about it and it was risky me telling you my true feelings about what could have happened, and you see, you didn't take it the right way. So you know what, Willow? I will back off and just support you. Goes good. And as she still like got the upper hand with her mother, because Drew is really hardening her to everybody, right? Knock on the door. She goes to the door. She was served papers that about the court hearing that Diane was talking to Carly about, and the trial date. So she tells Nina, she goes, Michael's suing me for full custody. And he didn't even talk to me first. I went all the way to Germany and he wouldn't talk to me. And he did this. Maybe he did it because he saw the video, but really Carly did it. Michael don't know what's going on, but I'll bet you he still saw the video, which I don't understand. Michael's not disconnected from the world, Carly. He could see the video of Drew. He probably saw the video of Drew declaring he was drugged and is gonna, clear his name, and Willow stepping in by his side. He sees that. So you should let him know what's going on with the fight to get his kids. But anyway, that's Carly. Carly does not make, never has made really good life or death decisions. Never. Okay. So Drew says, she goes, oh, she texts Drew. So he tells her, I came as soon as I could. First thing she sees him, gotta put her hand, her arms around him. Michael, look at what Michael's doing. And he goes, let me see him. So he's reading it. He goes, I can't believe he's doing this. Oh, really? Yeah, you can. So she goes, what do I do? What do I do? Martin's is out of town still, and I don't have an attorney. And Drew says, I know who to call. So of course he calls Rick Lansing. And Rick comes and he's trying to gather facts on what's going on. He has the petition in his hand, on his lap. And Willow tells her story. Now listen to this BS, everybody. Michael and I realized that our marriage was not working. So we decided to separate. And Nina's looking at her. And so she goes, and Michael, she may have even said, I don't think Nina, no, yet she didn't interject at that point. She looks at Willow. And so she goes, and Michael decided that the kids could come live with me. And Nina goes, yeah, they came to stay at my house, but he did not say they could live with her forever. And Drew looks at Nina, and Drew says, whose side are you on, Nina? And she goes, hey, Rick is the attorney. You have to tell him the whole truth if he's going to assess the situation right. And Rick goes, no, she is right. I need to know what happened, right? So then she goes, and then he got upset when I took Wiley to DC, for Drew's signing and swearing in. And Nina says, she did that without telling Michael, without his permission. And Drew looks at her, and Nina says, well, that's what happened. Because Willow says, and Michael decided then he was just gonna serve me with divorce papers. Now, they're failing to mention Willow served Michael with legal separation papers, bam, the next day, because Nina did that, right? But then they didn't mention that. Nina didn't bring it up. So they're saying, do you feel that we have a case? Can Michael take, my children away from me? And Rick says, I wouldn't be here if I didn't. Do you feel I could win this? He goes, I wouldn't be here unless I thought I could win this case. He says, I love winning against Diane Miller in court. And I thought back, my brain started thinking back, and I'm thinking, when did you ever win against Diane? I don't think you ever have, Rick. Ever. You couldn't even win against Alexis. Come on now. So anyway, he says no. He goes, well, we're gonna have to ask for a postponement. And Willow says, won't that hurt the postponement? Won't that hurt the case? He says, well, we need to get, I need time. And so she says, Martin was looking into Michael's background to see if we could get some dirt on Michael. He goes, and how did that come up? She goes, we found nothing. So he goes, well, I'm a completely different kind of attorney than Martin Gray. I could look into this and I'm sure I could come up with something. And so Drew says, we won't have to because I have an idea, a strategy that we can use that will ensure Willow gets her kids. And Rick was kind of like, he says, I would like to hear that. Because he did tell Willow that, yeah, postponing is risky. When they've set a date, we need to keep the date as much as possible. Oh no, she's panicking. And he stood up and he's talking to Willow because she's standing up. And then he looks at Drew. Drew's down, gotta comfort her. And Nina's just like, oh. He goes, what is this idea, the strategy you have? He says, the strategy is we paint Michael to be a deadbeat dad. And Nina looks at Drew like, wait, what? And he said, well, because Michael, when he got injured, he could have stayed in a clinic closer to his children. Now, mind you, Johns Hopkins is in LA. It's not in Port Charles. So that's across the country, right? He goes, he could have stayed close to his kids and seen them at any time. But he chose to go out of the country, abandoning his kids. Now, he was burned badly. Would you want your kids to see you? He's just now getting to the FaceTime phase. And actually, I don't even know if they're FaceTiming. Yeah, they are FaceTiming. So he's not showing everything. Maybe just because his face wasn't burned. So maybe he's just showing this part of it, facing to FaceTime. And so he goes, and another thing, Michael, since he's been away, has made no effort to talk to Willow, the kid's mother, find out how the kids are doing. Either I have my back door open, somebody's got a fireplace going. I'm like, I'm smelling something burning, right? I think it's somebody's wood. So, no, and Willow says, that's right. The only thing he's done is, he communicates with the kids through Christina, his sister. She sets it up, or Monica, when they see her, or, even Carly, but he's never, once reached out to me to see how his children are doing. That's true. And Nina has her hand up like, I can't believe you guys are going to go this route, right? Because bottom line, why would he want to talk to Willow? Pretty still fresh off of her cheating. Him finding out, right? So, what else did she say? Drew said something else. He goes, so we need to proceed on the abandonment angle. And it'll work. So Rick looked at Drew and he goes, it could work. I could definitely paint a picture. Okay. And Willow just looks at Drew. Because see, it's funny. She gave him an interesting look to me. I don't think she even said she didn't mention it, neither did Drew, saying that Willow went all the way to Germany And he refused to even see her. That never came up to Rick, right? She only said that when she got served and Nina was there. I can't believe he would do this without talking to me. And I went, it's going to come out that Drew did something, and I just don't know how it's going to come out. When they were talking about um, the court cases in 2 weeks, I was thinking, okay, guess what's going to happen? Michael is going to walk through the back of that courtroom, right? I would hope that would happen, but we have not heard, even tabloids, they get wind of if there was a new casting call out for actors so they could recast Michael Corinthos. We haven't seen that, right? Or heard about that. And I think it's too soon, especially now the Carly's like, I'll fight for his kids for him. See? Mm-hmm. So when you lose them for him, he's gonna have to come back all over again and fight. And now to take custody away from her. Carly, Carly, Carly. I think that's a disaster. Diane doesn't lose often, right? But I think this is a disaster. I really do. Unless they planned on surprising us with a Michael Corinthos coming back. I mean, they can't do a Zoom of him. He could be on the monitor on the screen. They could swear me. I mean, I'm surprised that they can't let him testify or attend via Zoom. So anyway, before this meeting, Rick goes by to see Elizabeth, and she hobbles to the door and lets him in, her legs in the cast, and she's doing much better. And as they're talking, she looks out the door because he goes, I just wanted to check up on you. Where's Lucky? Is he here? She goes, Lucky is having lunch, breakfast with his sister and his mother, something that I insisted on. He goes, oh, okay, because why? Is he doing a good job? Is he not doing a good job? She says, uh, he's been here 24/7. He needs to be able to get out. He goes, oh, you're tired of him already. Rick was saying, she goes, no, he needs a break. And yes, we both need a break. That's natural. So Rick comes in and she's talking about, Rick, um, she says, Rick, something about she looks out the door and she goes, is that a new Porsche out there? And he goes, yeah, it's a 911 GTC. Always wanted one. So I thought, okay, I'll get it now. Now he told Ava not to be flashing, spending all that money. Look at what he doing. So she says, you're driving a sports car like that after what happened to us? And then she had a memory flashback, a memory came back to right before the accident. She told him, slow down. And he's pumping the brakes. He goes, I'm trying, but the brakes aren't working. And so she goes, I remember something right before the crash. And she tells it to him, and Rick is looking like, uh-oh, I gotta derail her, right? And so he says, she goes, so I'm surprised you would want a fast car. He says, Elizabeth, speeding was not involved in our accident. I hit a patch of black ice and I lost control of the car. So that's why I kept going, even though I was pushing the brakes. The black ice was taking us. She goes, I don't remember that. He goes, that's okay. I remember enough for the both of us. He says, and aside from the fact the insurance company's already taken the car, another way I was able to, down payment down on the car I want. So she goes, oh, okay. He goes, don't even think about it anymore. So she doesn't give it too much a second thought, right? But then when Lucky comes home, she mentions it to Lucky that she had gotten a memory. And that's what Rick said. And Lucky's like, really? And she goes, yeah. He goes, did you remember anything else? And actually, Rick asked her too, remember anything else? She goes, no. And she goes, but Rick told me the insurance company already has the car, and the insurance company, you know, totaled it, whatever. And Lucky says, oh, so the insurance company has the car. He knows Ava said, I mean, no, he knows when he went to the impound, they said it was already destroyed, right? So now he's thinking, okay, why would Rick say that? Or why would the impound place lie? He's thinking it's either one and or both, right? So now Lucky's gonna be on the trail. He was a detective back in the day for PCPD. So Alexis calls Spinelli. She has him tracking down what happened to Ava's car, because remember, Ava says, I have the evidence in a secure place, right? So Spinelli was able to find out, there were three towing companies there removing cars. He goes to the auto body shops, but one, interestingly enough, was delivered to a storage unit. And she goes, really? She says, and what's the paperwork say on this storage unit? Spinelli turns it around, Ava Jerome. And she opened it up that day. Ava Jerome opened it up. So she goes, oh, now they know where the car is. Alexa's going to have that car stolen. While she's at it, she needs to tell Spinelli to delete the video footage of Christina, at the even though Alexis has it, I mean Ava has it. If the master video is erased from the cloud and gone, nothing better happen to Ava's phone, or you know what? It could be the file could get corrupted. Spinelli's smart enough to be able to put a little virus in that and boom, get it going. Okay. So it was nice seeing Spinelli. I always love it when we get to see him, Damien. And then let's see what else happened. I'm going down the road here. Kai was requesting Stella help him work, try to work with the doctors to get him released today. And she goes, and he's doing real well with his physical therapy. He's pushing himself and, you know, double time. And so Stella's like, why do you feel it's so important for you to leave today? And he goes, because I have to support Trina. I have to be there to walk her down the red carpet of the nurses' ball. And Stella was like, goodness, right? So she goes, I'm telling you, Kai, you're going to be released when you're healed and ready to be released. But I guess Stella ended up going. She talked to the doctor and she came back and she told Kai, I have bad news. The doctor says he is not going to release you today because you're too new in your recovery, Kai. And releasing you today could put you in danger of a setback. So I'm sorry, honey, but it's a no. So he goes, okay, I can't get released today, but the nurse's ball is in 2 weeks. I could probably get released in 2 weeks. And so Stella looks, she goes, you know what, honey, anything could happen. So he's going to work hard, to be there for Trina. Now, Trina and Josh are talking, and Josh tells her about her getting the internship, and Trina's like, Emma wanted that. And she goes, yeah. She goes, I didn't know you were that interested in whatever, bioeconomics or whatever the class is. And she goes, after my Easter Island trip, it really got me interested in it. So I got into Professor Dalton's class late. Yes, I've had to make up a lot of work, But I'm liking the class so far. And I thought it was the biggest long shot that he would choose me, which is why I didn't say anything. I just applied to apply. And Trina said, "Don't tell Emma that because she really wanted it, right?" And so Josh says, "Yeah, no, she's upset." And so Trina's like, "Well, there's other summer jobs, you know, for her." So anyway, it was interesting to see them talking because they haven't put those two together. But Josh wanted to say, "Hey, where are we going after the nurses' ball?" And Trina was saying, "No, I'm gonna pass." And she said, "Because I'm gonna go and be with Kai after the nurses' ball." And Jocelyn says, "Oh," she goes, "No, he needs me right now, and I'm gonna be there for him." So anyway, that was that, and I think that's it. Christina, her whole conversation with Dante, complaining about Alexis wanting to have her committed. Fast forward. I fast forwarded that whole thing. I didn't care. And I'm sure most of you didn't care about that conversation either. So what we're going to do, everybody, we're going to go to comment corner. Comment corner. I'm going to do about 5 minutes of comment corner here. My trusty dusty. This time I'm going to start from, and I didn't even have it ready. I'm going to start from the bottom up, from the bottom of comment corner up. And here we go. Po Boop says to sewing, what? No. Jackie said, wait, I have to go up to the beginning of the conversation. This is a long conversation string. Soren Room says, "What wouldn't it be awesome if Michael came back to take over Sonny's business?" Black Purple Turquoise says Michael needs to come back and get his kids away from Willow and Drew. That's what he needs to do. And Jackie says, "I want Michael to take over." Yes. But look, Willow approved that Michael is a danger to his kids, that kind of life, right? But Michael doesn't mean she will find out about it right away. Christera says to Jackie, "I'm not so sure about that." Uh, Alicia says to Black Purple Turquoise, "Michael would be a boss." Yes, he would. Po Boop says, "Yep, I totally agree. I think that's exactly what might happen." Sewing Room says, Jackie says to Sewing Room, "I think that's why they set Willow up to be so nutty, because if she was still pretending to goody two shoes, she would not be able to handle Michael doing what he want to do." And then Donna says, "I love to see that happen, but I would love to see Michael, Chad Duell, he can play ruthless. He can. But as we all know, if he ain't available, Thomas from Young and the Restless would be a better ruthless. And he has dark hair like Sonny, even though they're not biologically related, right? Um, and then I am says, yes, he is ruthless. Po Boop says the sewing room. When Michael comes back, uh, he's coming back with a vengeance. So watch out, Drew and Willow. Yeah, let's hope they bring him back because we need him, right? And then Soren Room says, "Didn't Sonny take over from Sam Smith?" I think you're right. Yep, you're right. Sam Smith, that name did ring a bell. I thought Sam Smith was killed. I think Luke had dealings with Sam Smith, and that's how he met Sonny. I'm not sure how Scully was involved. I'm not sure if any of this is correct. I kind of think it might have been Sam Smith. Frank Smith. I'm sorry, I said Sam Smith. Frank Smith. Because that may also be who Luke and Laura were on the run with Lucky for years. Frank Smith. Um, uh, Storm says it was so long ago. And Manuel says, yes, you're mostly right. Okay, so it was Frank Smith. And then Alvin says, I think it was Frank Smith. And Manuela says, yes. I said Manuel. Manuela says, yes. And Betty says the house that Lulu lives in is that her, wait, lives in that her dad and Lucky and Bobby grew up in. I don't know about that. Well, maybe it is because Donna says exactly. I recognize the house immediately by that door under the staircase. Okay, so maybe it is. You know, they recycle sets, right? Um, and then Merle says, General Hospital is a stupid. Well, sometimes the storylines aren't that great. And then Sharita says to Merle, agree and boring. The storylines are stupid. Uh, that doesn't make any sense lately. Yeah, they could tie up some loose ends because they have way too many loose ends going on. And then Maddie says, rest in peace. Denise Alexander. And Lynn says, hi. Lynn, I want you to say something more than hi, okay? I've been saying hi for a year. Linda says, Frank Smith gets it to Sonny. Okay, Frank Smith. Alicia says, daily recap lady. Sonny worked for Frank Smith, who was trying to kill Luke. That's how they met. Sonny was running Frank's strip club. Oh, in fact, after he and Luke got rid of Frank, those were some fun episodes. Sonny got rid of the strippers and sold the club to Luke. P.S. Scully was Sonny's first boss. Oh, Sonny killed Scully. Luke killed Frank, I think. Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Alicia. And Alicia says, if you think Laura and Anna are going to keep the peace in PC, Lord help the citizens. Sonny might want to rethink retiring to the island and stay alive. Sonny can get enough security. And as long as Sidwell doesn't think he's trying to come back, Sonny's fine. Alicia says, Josh is a joke. How are you to believe she finished spy school in a month? It would be funny if it wasn't so pathetic. Woo, I hear that, Alicia. Donna says, I agree. The Josh plot is dumb. And Sarita says to Donna, agree, the writers again with the dumb storylines that don't make any sense. And you know what? I'm not disagreeing with you, ladies. You're right. Some of the stuff is like, okay. And then Magdalena says, hello, Daily Recap lady. Today's episode was okay. I love the interaction between Sunny and Laura. It was great. That was great. This is a time to bring back Michael. Michael should run the business. I agree with Comic Corner, and Sunny did get the business from Scully. Oh, see, this is a Scully person. I remember that storyline. I like the way Jason handled himself with Tracy, and I like the interaction between Jason and Sunny. I'm so happy finally that Curtis thinks that Portia is lying, but Portia is still going to admit to Curtis, wait, anything. No, she's not. And Portia is just going to keep on going. I skipped the nurses' balls. Everything else was boring. Well, that's it for now. I'll keep tuning in and thanks for doing what you do for the GH fans. Pray you feel better. I do feel better. Went from 59 years to 60 watching General Hospital. Many thanks, Maggie. Well, thank you so much, Maggie. And I'm going to end Comment Corner on that comment of yours. Thank you so much. I will be back tomorrow, everybody, with another episode of General Hospital.